Hey, it's David Duford from BuyLifeInsuranceForBurial.com, and the reason for this video is to help you understand what your life insurance options are if you are 65 and older. Most likely you're watching this video because you're in your latter years, 65 and older. You're considering a life insurance purchase, but you see all these options on TV, endless commercials, endless junk mail, and you're kind of wondering and looking for some guidance on what steps to take to make the best decision for you and your family when it comes to purchasing life insurance. If that's the case, you found the perfect video. We're going to talk at length about why you would want coverage at 65, some of the major reasons that we've discovered in dealing with our clients. We're going to talk about how much you should consider to get, and then the types of coverage out there. We're going to cover the basics, the pros and the cons of each, and then we're going to round this out about what next steps you can take to find the best policy and what things you should consider. So first of all, why do you want insurance? This is a very important coverage to talk about. We teach my agents, I train thousands of agents across the country in my final expense life insurance business. One of the things we teach these agents is to ask you guys why you want insurance. What do you want to accomplish? Why is it important to you? And while this is something we teach salespeople to do, this is something you as a person looking for life insurance really need to have a good idea of. You need to ask yourself, why do you want life insurance to begin with? Why is it important? Do you really need it? Is it something that you think you should have or you know you should have? Really flesh this out. Talk to your spouse, talk to your kids, get some insight in what they think. Because I find that talking with others helps you get clarity on the importance of it and why you should do it. Now, a couple of the major reasons why people 65 and older buy life insurance are as follows. First of all, it's income replacement. If somebody dies, there is an immediate change in the income situation. If there's a spouse left behind, they don't want that spouse to suffer, especially if there's a very big difference in income earning from one spouse to the other. It's important to consider, well, if I die, that's going to have a negative adverse effect financially, so let's buy life insurance to provide additional income to make sure that's covered. Also, one big reason why people 65 and older buy life insurance is to pay off debt. Probably the most common reason is to pay off a mortgage. Many people over 65 bought a new house or a second house, they have a mortgage, and if they pass away, the mortgage still needs to be paid, but you now have lost that income and may be in a position where, worst case, you're evicted from the household because you can't afford the mortgage. So a life insurance plan allows a payoff to the beneficiary, in this case maybe a spouse or a kid, for them to either pay off the house entirely or to provide a lump sum to gradually pay that mortgage off, then to either prepare the house to sell or to just buy time. So these are the most common reasons I have seen people 65 and older buy it in my years training agents and helping people too. Now, after you've decided the reason why you want life insurance, the next thing you need to consider is how much. And I think this is a very simple a solution to answer the question, well, how much should I get? It really comes down to how much can you afford. I've never met a single beneficiary to policy that said that check that I got from the policy you sold my mom or dad, it's just too much money. I don't know what to do with it. I can't take it all. What happens is what most people say is, I wish there was more. I'm thankful for what I have, but man, it would have been nice to have even more, because there's always unexpected expenses. There's always unexpected costs that everybody has to deal with when a loved one dies and the fallout from death occurs financially. So get as much as you can afford. The worst policy to buy is one that's too expensive, because then you got to let the thing go and you've wasted a bunch of money, and it never provides the solution, money in the hands of your beneficiaries when you die, because it was too expensive. So a good agent, like what we teach our agents do and what we do for our clients, maybe like yourself, is talk about budget, figure out what's comfortable, and don't push on the price. Make sure that it's almost forgettable. You can just pay it and it's not going to like break the bank. So that way, in the time that it's needed, it can come to life because it's still in force and it will cover you and take care of those loved ones you leave behind. Now, the last thing I'll conclude here as in your thinking and processing for looking for life insurance if you're 65 and older is you need to look at the different types of insurance. Not all life insurance is the same. If this is your first foray into the business of life insurance, you need to know the basics between the major types of life insurance out there. I'm going to explain that to you right now, and then this will help you seek clarity and get clarity really on the type of life insurance you should spend your attention towards. So there's three primary types of life insurance types. We have term insurance, whole life insurance, and universal life insurance. Let's talk at length about both. Term insurance is short for terminating insurance. Yes, you heard that right. When you buy term insurance, if you outlive it, the policy is terminated. So for example, most term insurance comes in 10-year increments, 20-year increments. covers till 80 and then cancels. But once you outlive that incremental period of time, the policy lapses, you can't get it back, and now you're in a position where you don't have coverage. So in your process of thinking what kind of coverage you want, ask yourself, do you want a policy that runs the risk of terminating? Because term insurance is specifically designed to be outlived. People buy term for the what if, not the guarantee. What if I don't live long enough to pay off this debt? Well, a term insurance plan will be good if by the end of that term period, the debt is gone because you paid it off. But if it's a permanent problem, you need a permanent solution. More on that in a minute. The things also to be aware of with term, let me mention this a couple of times, especially for people 65 and older. First of all, I've done consulting with very large insurance sales companies. They're responsible for writing term insurance on people. And one of the biggest issues they had was 7 out of 10 applications sent in on a person 60 and older were declined, or the price was so sky high they just said forget about it. So many times it happens unless your health is absolutely crystal perfect. You will not get the term insurance at the rate you think you will, or you'll just be flat out declined. So realistically, term insurance is not a good choice for a lot of people out there over 65. It's a great product that provides a lot of value. But if you can't get approved for it, how good is it? Well, in my opinion, it's not good at all. And this leads us to some other issues. What if your problem is permanent? Do you know when you're going to die? Are you going to die before 80? You're going to die after 80? Well, you're taking a bet that you'll never really know the answer to. So if your problem is permanent in scope, term insurance is not the answer. So let's move now on to what we call permanent insurance. There's 2 types here. We'll start with whole life and then talk about universal life. Whole life insurance is the exact opposite of term insurance. It lasts your whole life, thus the word whole life insurance. The rates never go up with whole life. The coverage never gets canceled due to age or health because it lasts your whole life, no matter how long it is. And if you're eligible, you may qualify for first day natural death coverage and accidental coverage. Depends on the underwriting. And if your health is super bad, there always are options between typically 40 and 80 years old with what's called guaranteed acceptance insurance. And like, this is the last choice that you want. It forces a 2-year waiting period on natural coverage. It's not anything that we recommend as a first choice, like a lot of these junk commercials and junk mail options offer you. But it's an option if you can't get anything else. You ideally want to get first day full coverage with whole life. Now, with that said, what are some of the pros with whole life? It lasts your whole life. It's a permanent product that solves a permanent problem. What's a permanent problem? You dying. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody's going to die. Well, with death comes a cost, the funeral cost, the burial cost. So a whole life plan is great because it's there no matter when you die. It's going to cover those expenses no matter when you die. So you have a plan in place that is not subject to a termination period like term insurance. So that's a big one. Another thing, it's fixed pricing. The nice thing about fixed pricing is you don't get that surprise rate increase letter like sometimes some of these term insurance products do. So it's more easily manageable, more easily budgeted, and there's no gotcha clauses or surprises to worry about. The problem with whole life is you're not going to get a huge amount of coverage for a cheap price. With term insurance, because the companies know most people are going to outlive it or it's going to cancel, they usually charge a small rate for a lot of coverage. With whole life, expect to pay more for the same amount of coverage. How much more depends on your health, depends on what products you look at. That's something we can help with. More on that in a minute. But the point is that you're buying guarantees with whole life insurance. So you're in a circumstance to where at the end of the day, you have to get that guarantee, and that guarantee is going to cost you a higher price than a non-guaranteed product that cancels at a certain age, like term insurance, okay? Most people who are looking for whole life insurance need to cover funeral expenses or have a guaranteed lump sum to be paid out, and whole life is a perfect solution for that. The last option here is universal life, and this can be best described as a hybrid between term life and whole life. Depending on how the agent designs it, you can have a whole life, or you can have a universal plan last until you die, up to age 121, just basically the similarity of whole life insurance. But there's some different variables here. If an agent designs it wrong and what we call underfunds it, you can play with the premium amount. If you pay too low and you don't pay the recommended amount to keep the policy alive and enforced so that you're covered, you may run into a time in the future where you thought you were fully covered because the payment was so low that you cannot keep it active unless you pay more to catch up for what you missed. And this is a big problem with a lot of seniors out there. They bought these universal life plans when interest rates are high. Then it collapsed. And the way the program was designed just couldn't keep up with low interest rates. Long story short, what happened, a lot of good people bought policies that were bad and lost them in their 60s, 70s, and 80s because they were just too unaffordable. I usually don't recommend universal life for most people. We used to have a product that was called guaranteed whole life or guaranteed universal life insurance. It lasted forever, had a fixed price, never could go up. But all those plans are gone now because people love them. And sometimes if a product's too good to be true, the insurance companies find it's not affordable because a lot of people buy it. So they pulled the plug on that. And what most universal life plans do now is kind of act like a term insurance policy. And then you got to go through the same much more rigorous underwriting that a lot of applicants in their 60s and older, 65 and older, just can't be approved for. So long story short, yes, universal life is an option, but like term insurance, it's just got a lot of hang-ups to where most people who are applying for life insurance are going to be at a much higher level, declined, or rated up so high that it makes no sense whatsoever to buy. Of course, what I recommend most of the time, if you want a sure bet and you want to get some kind of coverage in place, especially if you have the need to cover final expenses, you have the need to cover some kind of debt at any point in the future, just want to make sure some money is left behind to somebody, whole life is the best solution. That is what we help people with at buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. We can help with universal life and term life too. If that's what you have an interest in, call us, we'll help you. But we want to be honest with you up front. There's a lot of difficulty in trying to get term insurance or universal life insurance issued, not because we're bad at it, it's just hard. When you're older, you got more health problems, and universal life and term insurance compared to whole life, a lot more issues and hurdles to jump over to hope to get an approval, whereas whole life is a lot easier. So long story short, that is the options for life insurance if you're 65 and older. This is the reason why people buy. This is what you need to consider when you're thinking about how much to buy. And these are the options. And if this has helped you seek some clarity and you've liked the information we've provided for you, we can help you with all three of these products. Of course, we think, 65 and older, most people get whole life, but we're not going to tell you what to do or force your hand. We're going to show you the options, educate you, and then you make the decision what works best for you and your family. And that's what we specialize in. We work across the nation. We do everything over the phone. There's no medical exams. It's super easy. There's no obligation to get a quote. Here's what you need to do next. Call us. That's the best thing to do. 888-626-0439. That gets myself or one of my friendly associates on the phone to help you with your life insurance needs. You can also run quotes at buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. You'll see a quote form near the top of the homepage. Just click that, fill it out. We'll get it and follow up with you with details. And you can see prices too to see if this is even something that fits your budget and is something you want. If you have any questions after watching this, feel free to reply in the comments below. Consider subscribing. And thanks for watching. Y'all take care.